Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be starting to rebuild my 1999 GSXR 600. As you'd have seen in the last video, I stripped it fully down to this stage, so yeah, let's start rebuilding. If you haven't seen the rest of the build series, you can click the link in the description and it will take you back to the first video. So I've just collected the wheels from the powder coaters and I'm very pleased with the result. These are looking very good. It's a very good finish. So yeah, I'm very pleased. So the first thing I need to do now is install the bearings so I can get the tyres fitted. So I start off here with a little bit of grease, just where the bearing is housed. A little bit of grease on the bearing and then I sort of line it up, give a little tap around the edge, make sure it's parallel, and then I can use this socket here and then knock it in. So again, more grease where the seal goes on. These bearings are actually sealed, so I don't need to go crazy with the grease, but yeah, just a little bit to help it go in, and then I give it a little tap around the edge until it's flush. So I'm now putting the collar between the two bearings. Just put a little bit of grease on there, helps it kind of locate. And as you'll see, once I've got the bearing in a bit further, I'll just locate it to make sure it's in the centre between the two bearings. So same again here, just give it a few taps, make sure it's lined up properly before I put the socket on it and knock it in. So the sockets I've got here, I went to a local engineering firm, someone I know, and I borrowed a load of sockets that fit perfectly inside the wheel hub, so I'm not scraping down the wheel as I'm knocking it in, but also fit perfectly around the outer edge of the bearing so I'm not damaging the inner side of the bearing. So as you can see there, all perfectly lined up, all greased, both seals in, that wheel is ready. So with all the bearings, once I'm knocking it in with the socket, you can actually feel, once it's all the way in, you can feel it's different. So on this one I'm using a different hammer for some reason, and you can actually hear there at the end the tone changes where it's fully in. So again, clean and grease where the bearing goes, and then I put a little bit of grease on this collar just to help locate it on the centre of the bearing. So again, using that hammer, you can hear when that bearing is fully in, you can hear the tone change. As you can see there, all lined up, and this one has no seal in it because the hub goes on there, and the hub has a seal in the end of that. So that is the wheels with all the bearings fitted, ready to send these off to get some tyres fitted. And yeah, you can see they're looking pretty nice. So I can't wait to get them back and get them fitted to the bike. So now onto this rusty exhaust. So as you can see here, I speed this up quite a lot because it's quite a long process. But I start with using the Dr. Downpipe exhaust cleaner. I'll put a link to this in the description, and then you'll see I go on to using WD-40 towards the end. The grey pad I'm using here is just a nylon abrasive pad. The Dr. Downpipe does come with pads, but these are extra ones I bought, so I used the other ones up. But yes, pretty effective, you'll see towards the end. So I'm now going to start sanding down this end piece. When this comes from the factory, this end piece that comes out of from underneath the engine is actually painted black. So what I'm doing here, I'm just sanding this down, get it as smooth as I can, and I've got some very high temperature paint that I'm going to use in a little while. So yeah, to start with, I'm going to give it a good sand down, give it a clean, degrease it, and then I'm going to paint it. So the bits that I'm not painting, I'm now leaving to soak in WD-40. I leave it for about an hour or so before I start rubbing that off. So these are all the bolts that were holding the exhaust headers to the engine, and there's two in there for the bracket for the radiator. It looks pretty disgusting. They were pretty bad. I left them to soak in vinegar for a couple of days, which got the worst of it off. And as you can see here, with a good old clean, it comes up, and then I give them a good clean in WD-40 afterwards. So just going to remove my tape. So you can see the difference there from where it's just its original finish to where I've painted the end. It is a matte finish, but it looks fairly shiny. I think it's just the way the light is. I think normally they're painted up to about here. I've just gone a little bit further, so obviously where that sticks at the bike, it'll be black coming out from underneath the engine. And the rest of it is now looking pretty good. So I'm just going to run a tap through here where obviously the paint has gone in where the threads are. So before I go too far, I'm just going to reinstall this radiator bracket. Again, I gave that a quick spray with the paint. So I'm just going to put the new washers in. So what I do is I just smear a bit of Vaseline around these before I put them in, and that just holds them in. So I've just got that loosely in place, and I've put this bolt in here just hand tight. So I've put some high temperature anti-seize paste on these. So that's the exhaust in place. Everything just finger tight at the moment. Then the same here, I've just got the one bolt in. So now I can knit them all up. So I'm now moving on to the radiator. There's nothing really wrong with this, obviously it just needs a good clean. So I'll literally strip it down, give it a good clean, dry it out and put it back together. So here I'm just using my muck off motorcycle cleaner. Hopefully that will break down some of the dirt, and I'm using a soft brush. Obviously you don't want to damage any of the fins, you don't want to close any of them. So yeah, I'm just using a nice soft brush here, try and work it in gently. So lots of washing, lots of rinsing, and hopefully that'll get all the dirt out. So I now take it outside, give it a good rinse with a hose, and while I'm there I give it a good flush through as well. So that coolant pipe there is the last one to be removed now. I left that in just so I didn't get any dirt going down into the pump. So here's the original coolant hoses. They don't look great. I'm sure if I soak these in warm water they'd probably come up okay, but some are hard, some are not feeling great, so I'm going to put them in the bin. So I've got a set of replacement silicone hoses. So here are the original Jubilee clips. They didn't look too bad, but I just wanted to give them a bit of a soak in WD-40 to get them looking a bit better, to go with the nice new hoses. So now I want to clean the coolant tank. A lot of this is just on the surface. So with the new coolant pipes I've got a replacement for this one, which is that one there. And then this one, I've got some silicone pipe that I can use for that. So I'll cut that the same length. So the pipe that goes from the top of the radiator to the bottom of the coolant tank, the original one came with these small clips, but obviously they're not big enough to go on this new silicone hose. So what I'll do is I'll put it in for now and then I'll add the Jubilee clips later. So I just need to pass this through here because it goes along the engine and then it comes out the other side. So what I'll do is just pass that through there. So that also holds the idle adjuster there. So that just hangs down as an overflow behind the fairing, like that. Then this one goes over to the top side of the radiator. So the original one literally just laid alongside the engine, and I need to get it out so it comes up to the radiator there. So I need to take the shortest route, but also a careful route that I'm not against anything. So that one actually routes up from the water pump along there behind the starter motor, then it comes out up here and then goes onto the top of the radiator, which that is how the original one was. So that's gone back. So that is the coolant system and the exhaust all put back together, looking pretty good. So join me in the next video where I'll get the wheels back and we'll carry on rebuilding this bike. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and I will see you next time.